The Missoula County Democratic Central Committee meeting. This is our monthly meeting. Tonight we're fortunate to have all four mayoral candidates with us tonight. I'm Dave Kendall, the chair of the Missoula County Democrats. I'm going to turn the program over to Willis Curdy, who will be being our moderator for this evening. Willis is our congressional representative.
Congressional committeeman.
Congressional committeeman, thank you very much.
Something, yeah.
Okay, thanks, Dave. Welcome, everyone. I'd like to take a few minutes here to do some, deal with some functionary type of things. We were supposed to have a little slip of paper that everybody could write questions on for the candidates, and that was omitted. So I have a pad here, and I'm going to pass it around. And I'd like someone or anyone who wants to write a question to jot it down, and Mary Grace right here will pick them up and we'll pass them forward to me, and we will see what questions are being asked, and then we will ask those of the candidates. One other thing that we need to deal with right off the bat is that this will be a timed response. Mary here has the cards, will tell you how much time is left, and Mary, we have 30 seconds, 30-second warning, and you stop.
Yeah.
Okay? So we're asking the candidates to pay close attention to the time limit. We have a certain amount of time to carry on with this forum, and we have a lot of folks who will probably want to ask questions, and we want to give everyone an equal opportunity to give a response. So we'll begin with the first question. And the first question is, do you support or oppose the Urban Transportation District levy? And please give detailed reasons why. And Ms. Cain, if you would begin, and we'll go down the line that way.
Oh, sure. Greetings, fellow Democrats. The urban transportation issue at this time I do not support because I don't think we can afford it, and I think it needs to be streamlined.
How much time do we have, Willis?
We have
A minute to respond?
We have 1 minute for the opening responses.
Okay, terrific.
Thanks for reminding.
Yeah, you bet. Well, good evening. I'm John Engen. Thank you for having me. I have the privilege of serving as the treasurer for the mill levy request for the urban transportation bond. I believe that the timing is right for a number of reasons, not the least of which is that we have seen increasing demand for transit, and that I believe that our urban transportation system outlined is one of the ways that we can continue to do quality development in Missoula. So if we look at the Riverfront Triangle, for example, and we talk about what might happen there, we can invest millions and millions of dollars in parking, or we can take full advantage of our transit system and save a little money and do a lot of development. So it's a great program for all Missoulians, and I hope folks will support it.
Hello, I'm Mike Hyde. I've read the levy, and as a Missoulian, I know there's a need for transportation around town. As we move forward with the levy, because we're going to get one, it's obvious, I would keep a few things in mind. One is Missoula's workforce works 24 hours a day, and right now the levy talks about moving the bus line up to 10. However, I think Missoulians that utilize this system need 24-hour access. We have a whole nightlife part of our community that uses our downtown area, and we need to give those participants in our community a safe ride home. They need an opportunity to be able to hop on transportation at 2 o'clock in the morning and not drive through our town drunk, because they are driving. So I think as we move forward with the levy, we keep that in mind. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Dean McCollom, and I went and did a little bit of research with the customer side of the transportation system. Basically, was riding my bike, saw a woman standing at the bus stop with a bicycle, and I asked her, "So, tell me about riding the bus, and why the bicycle?" And she told me two things. She told me, one, the reason for riding the bus was because she didn't feel safe riding her bicycle, and the reason for the bicycle was because she didn't feel that she would be able to make it in time for the bus before the bus shut down. So basically, she was riding the bus because she didn't want to get killed on the road, and she was taking the bicycle so that she could make it home and not have to walk. The transportation system is something that it's complex. I want to study it more. I don't feel comfortable saying yes or no, but I think our decision should be data-driven, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, thank you. Now, the moderator was negligent in one thing. He'll take the whipping right off the get-go. Okay? And that is, I failed to let these folks introduce themselves. So we'll begin with Dean, if you would take a minute and introduce yourself, please.
Let's see. I'm pleased to be here and talking to you folks tonight. I almost got sent away. I am Dean McCollum. Spent 40 years in California, 20 years in LA, where I was born, and 20 years in an agricultural community, tourist community that's one mountain pass west of Silicon Valley. There were things that I saw in Santa Cruz that were bad, okay? It had a very distinct anti-business bias, but they had the option of going over this hill, driving an hour and a half to the most best, is that stop or is that? No. Okay. To a world global engine of innovation. We in Missoula don't have that opportunity. I see things in Missoula that are happening that are reminiscent of what happened in 94 in Santa Cruz, and I want to make sure we don't go there.
Mr. Hyde.
Hello, I'm Mike Hyde. I was born in Salt Lake City, Utah. I was raised here in Missoula, Montana. Spent most of my summers on the rivers, being a Montana kid, working in a diesel shop with my father who owned 5 Valley Diesel. I've owned 2 car lots in my short life. One of my greatest accomplishments was being a young father at the age of 21. Had my first boy, Colton John. I have 2 other children. I have Cash Hyde and Catherine Joy Hyde. I enjoy being a father. I enjoy living in Missoula. I love this community. I find myself, every time I travel, talking about Missoula like I was a salesman for the place and want to hurry back here. So I appreciate your guys' time and listening to all of us. My platform is food, water, and sustainable industry. Thank you for your time.
Mr. Engen.
Thank you. I'm John Engen. I'm mayor of the city of Missoula. I've had the honor of serving in that role since I was elected in 2005. I grew up in Missoula and have had a tremendous education as mayor. It turns out that this is a community that is rich and diverse and interesting, and it turns out we don't all agree on everything. And part of my job as mayor is to try to balance all of those interests, some of which I don't necessarily agree with, and we've had some success. We've accomplished some things. We've I think, created a community that we can be proud of, and I hope that the next 4 years, if you'll have me, will be all about making an even better community for folks who will come after us to enjoy the place that we love so much.
Hi, my name is Peggy Cain. It was Peggy Swisher Cain. I was born in Whitefish, Montana, and moved here when I was 5 years old. We moved here for the mild winters, actually. But I love my town. I love my state. And I have watched the soul of my town degrade. And I think we need to go back to basics. We've just lost several thousand good middle-class jobs, and we're spending money like we don't have it. So my 3 things are traffic, taxes, and jobs. Traffic flow, not traffic.
Okay, we'll begin the next question, and we'll start with Mayor Engen. How can the city help promote economic development that creates good paying jobs and possible good union jobs in our area?
So almost 3 years ago now, we created the Missoula Economic Partnership, which is an arrangement between the public sector and the private sector, and the goal is to create those family wage jobs that allow people to be comfortable to live middle-class lifestyles in our community and to be able to fully participate. The short version here, and our time is extremely limited, the short version is that, in my experience, government doesn't create jobs, but we can certainly facilitate the creation of those jobs by creating friendly business environments, by ensuring that we have a quality education system and a great workforce, and by making sure that we do all the things that municipalities can do to build great cities. You don't have great businesses unless you have great places to live, and that's a big piece of the puzzle for us. The partnership is doing work every day to try to not only recruit folks to come to Missoula to provide those great jobs, but it's also working with the men and women who have built companies and businesses here who are deeply engaged every day in trying to make the place better, trying to grow their business. We need to support those folks as well. So we've had some successes, we've had a few failures, some bumps in the road, but I think we're on the right track. In no small part because we have goals, we have a strategy, and we have talented people who are working together to get that done.
Mr. Hyde?
I believe the biggest lie we were ever told was that money doesn't grow on trees. When it comes to what we can do to create industry here in Missoula, I would like to talk to you guys about hemp industry. Not only can we grow our own food, our own clothing, our own housing, we can grow 100% biodegradable plastics. We can bring an industry to our town that won't only just flourish our town, it'll flourish all of the Big Sky residents. And that industry is agricultural, sustainable hemp. We need to flourish with it. If you want to talk about how do we create economy, we have to grow it. And by growing it, I mean we can grow hemp. And we can move forward as a city with doing diverse jobs. There's plenty of entrepreneurs in this town looking at a business to get into. And with the agricultural end of hemp, not only can we grow houses, which is an issue, we can grow clothing, food, paper for our schools, and we can grow industry. So I'm all about bringing in local jobs, bringing up local agriculture, and sustaining our activity end of Missoula, which is all year recreation. We're a huge recreational landmark. We need to promote that. We need to make it better. We need to look at other cities that are great cities like Montana, like Boulder, Colorado, that do things that are innovative and successful at promoting not just a sustainable agriculture economy, but sustaining the essence of what the city is, which is being out in the great outdoors. Montana is our playground. We have the Blackfoot, the Clark Fork, we have the Rattlesnake Wilderness. We need to utilize all of our resources. Thank you.
Mr. McCollom?
So, at the beginning of the Missoula Economic Partnership, there was the Best Place Project. One of the things they identified was that there was a perception of an anti-business bias in Missoula. Businesses want to have something, a government that's understandable, equitable, predictable, and consistent. And until we are able to offer that, they will be hesitant to invest. And last night I wasn't able to attend. I had a commitment that I had to fulfill. But there was talk about doing a ex post facto change in the rules. Somebody who basically, in my opinion, is a business, had their permits in order, and unless there was some withholding or incorrect stating, they had everything ready to go. And all of a sudden we're viewed as saying, no, we're going to change the rules and we're going to make it effective before you apply. And I think that is not something we should be doing.
Okay, thank you. This next question will begin with Mr. Hyde.
Me?
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
I started with the mayor. Go ahead, Peggy.
Missoula has its roots as a working town. If you go back to our founding fathers, the town was built to support rail, lumber, our natural resources. And of course, we know timber days are gone. So we have to figure out what to do. I saw an architect's plan that I met, that you guys probably saw yesterday too, about vertical agriculture. And it's a fantastic idea. We can grow our own food with LED lights, and he has some knowledge that I don't. It can be a 12-month out of the year. But we are the shopping hub of the Five Valleys, and unless we get traffic to flow in this town easily from one hub to another, people are going to go elsewhere. We've got to figure out a better system to get traffic flowing from downtown to North Reserve to the south end of town. Is that it? That's it. Oh, okay. Traffic, taxes, we've lost a lot of middle-class jobs, and I think we need to live within our means and get a timeline for what we need to do now. And I know it's not easy, because you hear this every day. Everybody has what they want, but I think we should have more citizen forums and encourage attendance to find out what the citizens of Missoula really do want as important. Do they want roundabouts? Do they want bike lanes? Or do they want to keep their taxes lower? It should be up to them, not just up to the mayor and the city council.
Okay, this question will begin with Mr. Hyde. There's two parts to it. Where do you stand on our recently passed privacy ordinance that stops employers from asking for employees' online passwords? And the second part is, what else can we do to protect Missoulians' privacy?
That's a fantastic question. I'm a big supporter of personal privacy, rights, equal rights. The big question to that is, not only do employers not have the rights to your Facebook profile, but either does law enforcement, either does the local government that gets into our Facebook profiles daily. It's a huge extension overreach of governmental powers. You look at the PRISM programs, you look at all the stuff that's going on right now on the internet, and it's very scary to think that someone can know where you live, know what your profile is, and you don't even know who this person is. And it could be a public servant, could be someone that you're paying their wage to investigate on you. So not only do I not support employees or employers being able to get into employees' Facebook profiles, I'm a big proponent of stopping anyone from accessing anybody's Facebook profiles, and that even means local law enforcement. Thank you.
Mr. McCollum.
Is this 1 or 2 minutes then, Philip? 2 minutes, okay. Let's see. The first part of the question. I would say that if I were advising an employer about collecting passwords for social media and email, I would tell them that that is a very, very, very bad, almost stupid idea. One of the things that I did several years ago was did some forensic accounting and reconstructed the books of a social nonprofit. And as it turned out, they had somebody who had pulled about $250,000 from them. We got about 68% recovery. The assumption that you're going to be able to keep those passwords secure, I think, is a bit of a stretch. And the risk that I see is if that person were to get a hold of somebody's password and do a little password reset on people's brokerage accounts, you could end up with yourself being liable for large sums of money. So I would say, trust your employees and don't put yourself at risk. That's just completely ignoring how socially repulsive it is to think that somebody is going to be snooping into your own private affairs. And the second part of the question, could you repeat it?
Second part, excuse me again, is what else can we do to protect Missoulians' privacy?
Follow the Constitution, Fourth Amendment, and weigh people's rights of privacy with the rights of public to know when we have decisions as a government. Thank you.
I was at city council the night that they passed that, and I'm very pleased that the mayor and the city council did pass that ordinance saying that employers do not have access to ask for their employees, or was it hires, passwords, because that's just, you're right, socially unacceptable. The problem is, what I found out is, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dean, but if you put something on Facebook, it's Facebook's property, not your property.
Yeah, but if you defame somebody on Facebook, you're still liable.
Right, if
for
you're
it.
defaming them, but anything you put out on Facebook belongs to Facebook.
I haven't read the terms of service. I don't know.
But
Nobody does.
as far as protecting privacy of Missoulians, you know, do more education, especially to our young people, about not putting stuff out on the internet and being very careful. You know, don't type on your Facebook page, I'm going to be out of town for 2 weeks and I live at 25 blah blah, you know, and protect yourself. Don't put pictures of yourself out on the internet that is going to come back and harm you. I think a lot of it has to do with education.
You know, I thought that was a nice piece of business on the part of council, and I thank Councilman Weiner for his efforts. And I think it was fairly easy for council to support that. You know, that sort of ordinance is a good example of sort of local government in some ways at its best, addressing problems that aren't necessarily going to get taken care of anywhere else. I'm not sure I can imagine the state legislature necessarily, with respect to the folks in the room, being able to get there in some cases, nor the federal government, clearly, based on some of the things we've learned recently. So we do have opportunities to make some changes in local government to really make a difference in the lives of our citizens. And I think that's one of the joys of the service. You know, I don't have any brilliant ideas for how to further protect privacy. I suspect that there may be some additional legislative solutions, but there are limits to that, and I'm not sure that Ms. Cain is wrong, that education is certainly a piece of the puzzle, and the more we are prudent and wise and careful, the better off we'll probably all be.
Okay, the next question, we'll begin with Mr. McCollom, is in what sectors do you see that Missoula has the infrastructure to encourage job growth? And where is it failing?
Some of what I think that we need to realize is we have a really pretty well-developed infrastructure, okay? I think the fact that we have 40% of our constituents have a college degree, I think that's a real strong plus for us. And I think it's a matter of we need to encourage entrepreneurship, which we are doing through MEP, and we need to have a lean process flow through government so that people who are wanting to start a business, expand a business, you know, throw themselves into the mix and see if they can float to the top or swim to the top, they can do it. So thank you.
I didn't hear part of that question.
Okay. Question is, in what sectors do you see that Missoula has the infrastructure to encourage job growth, and where it doesn't have?
Okay, thank you. Job growth, it is so tough. We have got an infrastructure that it was built around timber. It's a shame that the old Horner, I still call it Horner Waldorf, Smurfit Stone, was not utilized, but the opportunity just did not present itself. We've got an incredible wealth of timber workers and forestry people in Missoula, probably more than any town in the nation. We have a leading entomologist, one of the best in the nation, that's working on beetle kill. So I would like to see some forums that, I bet those guys have some jobs that they can think of that nobody else has thought of. What can we do with the lodgepole, the beetle kill lodgepole, to help clear out a forest, which is going to be a fire cycling problem if we don't attack especially around communities like what just happened out at Lolo. So, and I agree that I think our infrastructure is pretty sound, except it's hard to get from point A to point B a lot, and I think some better traffic flow would help shoppers on all our hubs, because it's not just downtown, it's downtown, South Side, and North Reserve.
Thank you. So I think our infrastructure physically is pretty solid. What I think we need to continue to work on and really promote is the fact that we have a pretty remarkable educational infrastructure here. We have great K-12 schools. We have what I hope will be a rock-solid College of Technology, Missoula College here coming up soon, and the University of Montana with degrees from bachelor's through doctorate. We need to take, I think, further advantage of the fact that we have a remarkably well-educated and well-trained workforce, and also the ability to adjust for whatever our workforce training needs may be, and a lot of that's going to be determined by the marketplace. So as we think about the manufacturing folks that we've had out at Bonner lately, those folks needed welders, so we're in a position where we can work with the job service, another piece of our infrastructure, and Missoula College to get more training done to basically feed the machine that is that type of manufacturing. But we also crank out something on the order of 60 pharmacists with doctorates a year. And many of those folks are going away. They're going to work somewhere else, and I believe that we have some opportunity to keep some of those folks here doing excellent work, whether it's research or fulfillment or more, and the list goes on in the biosciences, health industries, big data, etc. So we have lots of opportunities, and we need to take advantage of them. We also, again, by virtue of the fact that we have some goals and some strategies around economic development, we can do some recruitment, some retention, and we can connect businesses to resources and programs that help them grow, thrive, or in some cases, stay in business.
Mr. Hyde?
I believe Missoula is one of the best places to live. The infrastructure for success is here. What we're lacking is industry. That's why I'm such a proponent of hemponomics. It's all about bringing hemp industry. It's not about talking about what are we going to do, where are we going to find these jobs that we can build jobs. We're the only industrialized country in the world that is not talking about hemp. And if you're an elected official and you're not promoting hemp agriculture and sustainable industry, then we're not offering our kids much. We don't want our kids to grow up in Missoula to move away to be successful. We want to be able to bring jobs right here, provide food, water, and industry right here in our garden city, because if we do not do that, we can't all deliver pizzas or work at Jiffy Lube or fill prescription bottles at Walgreens. We need to be able to look at innovative ways of not just building houses. Like, this is a hemp board made from hemp. Grow this in the field, I could build a house with this. Hempcrete walls are 100% waterproof, 100% biodegradable with the plastics. Hemp walls in construction with homes, you are up to a 50 R factor, which is fantastic living in Montana trying to heat and cool a home. So not only can we build houses, but we can build products like plastic. You can build anything from cellophane to dynamite with hemp. The plant is 70% cellulose. Its fiber material can provide us clothing and infrastructure for industries that are clean and renewable. And that's what we need to look at, or else we're going to keep fighting like every other country and every other city in the United States that does not have industry, and they're fighting for it. We're shipping in all the commodities from out of country. We could be building them right here, and we could be offering Montanans jobs. Thank you.
Okay. We'll begin this time again with Ms. Cain. And the next question is, how would you handle tensions between the university students and other parts of the Missoula community?
Tensions between students and other parts of the university.
Community.
Of the community. Oh, right, okay. Tensions between students and the community are going to happen in a university town. It's inevitable. I grew up on 6th Street East on the 400 block, so we were right by the university, so I'm well aware of it. It's just, I think it's a matter of education and tolerance. Again, is it really a problem? I think there should be counseling referrals to students that get too rowdy. They should have to, but that's the state's business and not the city's business if a student gets out of hand. So maybe lean on the board of regents a little bit to enforce some disciplinary measures on students that do cause some problems. And I'm not even going to go with the Department of Justice and all that, because I don't think I think that was a unique situation. We've been there, done that, it's over. So day to day, kids are going to drink a little too much, they're going to get a little rowdy, but I don't know, I grew up all right, I think, but I don't see it as a huge problem.
Mr. Engen?
Well, depending on the day, it can certainly be a problem. Those tensions sort of manifest themselves in our neighborhoods, and certainly over my tenure in office, I've heard lots of complaints about relationships between student housing and student rentals and traditional neighborhoods and those interactions. And I mean, it ranges from goofy parking to couches on boulevards to loud parties, and in some cases more or less. And I think at some point, folks have some expectation that they ought to have some peace and quiet in their homes. Sometimes that goes a little far, but I also feel their pain. So one of the things we've been able to do, I think, through our Quality of Life initiative, through our Quality of Life officer, is begin to address what we think are behavioral issues. It has nothing to do with whether you're a student. It has everything to do with the way you're acting in your community as a citizen. So we've talked to the university about working together on a number of things, including making sure that there's adequate housing for students. There seems to be some misperception that that conversation is about subsidizing that housing, when in fact there are lots of folks who are more than willing to come to this market and build student housing on their own dime, private operators on their own dime to house students. I think that relieves some tension in neighborhoods. I also think it offers an opportunity for folks to perhaps purchase some of the homes that have been traditional student rentals, rehab them, and begin anew. So part of it is the housing inventory question. Another part of it is how do we respond to folks whose complaints don't necessarily rise to the level of having an armed police officer show up, but certainly somebody who could write a citation might be helpful. So one of the things we're doing is working on community policing, where we can be more responsive again through that quality of life program. So we're chipping away at it. It's not a world ender, but it all contributes to everyone's ability to get along and work together in a community, and it's important.
You know, I believe in life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. I'm a younger demographic to the city, and I can see that, you know, there's a clash between demographics, but really what it goes down to, are we violating someone's rights? Are the individuals harming someone's property? And if those are the answers, then yes, there's solutions to that, but really it's about building common ground in the communities with the individuals that are making the complaints. I've had complaints made on myself. So you got to really say, well, what was the problem, and what are we going to do to move forward as a community? And so really it's about neighbors going and knocking on neighbors' doors and saying, hey, my kid goes to bed at 9:30, please don't throw a kegger there after 10 o'clock, 10:30, let's keep it down. So you have a little bit of rapport, but really you can't police everyone and you can't give everyone a citation. It really comes to having a community, having rapport with our neighbors, and promoting that and starting with that. Thank you.
Just doing a little bit of math in my head, and I realized that I've lived in a college town for 60% of my life. I moved into a college town when I was 18, and I've lived in one ever since. So I can view it from multiple perspectives. I remember as a college student talking to the neighbors and negotiating a noisy evening was often a good thing, and you could basically say we'll be on our best behavior for the next 3 months, and they would usually sign off on it. As a homeowner, I had problems with houses down the street, loud parties, fights, gunshots. And I found what worked really well with there was find out who owned the house and tell them your tenants are not good and you need to have a word with them. And if that word doesn't work, we'll carry it further. One of the questions, and I know that I'm supposed to be coming up with the answers here, but is if we have people who are eager to build student housing, why hasn't it happened yet? And I'll personally look into it, and I'd like to know the answer to it if anybody knows.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Engen, we'll begin with you this time. What are your views on the ideal future of mountain water, and how do you propose we achieve that ideal?
So since mountain water was purchased, since actually park water was purchased by the Carlisle Group, hardly a week has gone by that we haven't had a conversation about next steps. We have an agreement in place by virtue of the sale that we have a right to bid on the water company. I've had conversations with Carlisle within the last week, and I hope that we'll be able to talk to the city council about making an offer sometime in the relatively near future. We need to own the system. It is not as complicated, or it is not as simple as necessarily saying we're going to take the system, but we, I think, have an opportunity and obligation to purchase it, and I think we're in a good position to negotiate that deal.
Mr. Hyde.
As I read through the groundwork that everyone takes an oath to, it really makes you wonder how our water ever got sold in the first place, and when it was up for option a few years ago, why we were building turnarounds and not buying our water back. But really, if you read Section 1 of the Declaration of Rights under the Montana State Constitution, who many law enforcement officers will roll their eyes to, it says popular sovereignty. All political power is vested in and derived from the people. All government of right originates with the people, is founded upon their will only, and is instituted solely for the good of the whole. The people have the exclusive right of governing themselves as a free, sovereign, and independent state. They may alter or abolish the Constitution and form a government whenever they deem it necessary. What it really goes down to is the people of Missoula own that water. That is our water. We, the people, own it. If we, the people, want that water back, we, the people, can take that water back. And if I'm elected mayor, I'm going to stand true to my word and the Constitution, the Declaration of Independence, and everything that elected officials swears an oath of office to. They don't swear an oath to the Supremacy Clause, to acts, or anything else. All goes down to the Constitution. That is the supreme law of the land, and the supreme law of the land, people win. And if the people want their water back, then we, the people, will take that water back. Thank you.
I don't think anybody here is going to say that we shouldn't own our own water. The history of the water here in Missoula is something that it predates me. I was talking with Peggy, and she gave me some very good information. I believe that we need to purchase our water system. I think we need to own our water system. I'm surprised that we don't own our water system, and I don't think it's really a question. It's a matter of how will we pull it off.
Oh, the water system. It has been an issue in this town since before I came here and before you were born. Really, it goes so far back. I have spent hours on the internet reading. It has been before the courts. It has been before the legislature, and I hope we can buy our water back. But the article, and this one is about eminent domain, and it happened to a town in your home state of California.
Which one? Sorry, just keep going.
Montera, California.
Tara, okay.
And it ended up costing the people of the town 50% more in their tax dollars to purchase their water system. We have to decide as a community, and I think it should be put on a referendum before it is bought, if we are willing to pay the extra taxes to buy it. In the meantime, I hope we can buy it. I really do. I think it'd be wonderful. In the meantime, we have got to hold the Public Service Commission more accountable on raises instead of just rubber stamping. Oh, rate, boom, done, every 2 years. I have never seen so many burned up lawns in Missoula in my life. And people just can't afford it. We about fell over when we got our water bill last month. So, you know, green lawns are a luxury now. They're not a necessity. So, I hope we can. It goes back many mayors past you, and if you can pull it off at an affordable price, but unfortunately, Sam Wheeler's still got some stock in this, correct?
Nope.
That's not what I've got here. All righty.
Thank you. This question will begin with Mr. Hyde. The question is, how can our city better protect and support our LGBT community?
It's all about supporting everyone's inalienable rights of being a human being. If we violate the right of another person and expect our own rights to be protected, it's going to be a hard uphill battle. So it's not just about supporting and equal rights for the LGBT community. It's about equal rights for everybody in our community. That even means medical cannabis patients. As a medical cannabis patient, I lost my right to bear arms. My local officials didn't protect my right to bear arms, and because of that, I don't have a fundamental right. So my equal rights were affected. So what it really goes down to is we all cherish the same rights, because even if our beliefs are different, it goes down to upholding everyone's equal rights. And so it's all about life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and not infringing on anyone's rights in our paths. And so I support the LGBT community, and I support the equal rights of everyone in Missoula Valley. Thank you.
So, one of the things that I notice is we tend to want to legislate things that are already wrong. Just an example, we have lots of gun legislation that basically is trying to say that murder is wrong and prevent murder. When we talk about the LGBT community, we're talking about 2.6% of our population. And the other portion of the population, some of them feel very uncomfortable because they don't understand them, and they feel like they are advertising they are saying they exist. And we have to step back and take a look at it, okay? If a straight individual wants to find another straight individual, it's pretty good odds. You know, you got 96% versus, to 96% matchup. LGBT folks, they have to be a little bit more circumspect because of the way they're treated, and they have to be a little bit more forthright. The other thing is we roll the term LGBT off our tongues and we group them, but we have to realize that the people that we're talking about actually are very different, they have different needs. One of the things, and again, I've lived half of my life in towns that are very LGBT friendly. The T folks don't necessarily fall into the homosexual category. And a lot of people don't understand that. They believe that they fundamentally are biologically what they believe they are.
So bigotry and discrimination. Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies. I was fired up.
Go for it, dude. Oh, tolerance is a learned behavior, I think. I think Missoula's very progressive with the LGBT community. It needs a lot more to do, but it's got to come down to individual neighbors, working with individual neighbors. We have a couple on our block that have lived there for 25 years. They're just part of the neighborhood. Big deal. And you're right. It's not just about that group. And until we stop referring to them as a group, we will not have equality. Women still, we have just celebrated our 93rd anniversary of the right to vote. That's not even 3 generations. So, until we stop talking about race, gender, whatever, there will, until it's not even talked about, it won't be solved. We can't solve it as a government. We've got to solve it by talking to our children, by talking to our neighbors, and by looking within our own hearts.
I'm less fired up now. So in my mind, bigotry and discrimination are ugly. They are simply ugly, and to the degree that we have some ability to temper that ugliness in our community, we ought to do that. And I'm very proud of the Missoula City Council. Former Councilwoman Rye is in the room here, along with Councilman Strohmeyer, Childers, Wilkins, Weiner, Wolken, and if I'm missing anybody, let me know. But these are folks who supported the notion that we're not going to discriminate against anyone in our community. And we went so far as to state it. And it is extremely important that we state that, I think. It's extremely important that we rage against the machine once in a while in order to make folks who have traditionally suffered discrimination, bias, bigotry, feel welcome, supported, and protected in our community. And that's what that ordinance was about for us. It is more than symbolic. It is actually a pesky law. And if you violate it in our community, there's a penalty for that. And that's really important. We have a long way to go as a society. But the day that we sort of throw up our hands and suggest to one another that we collectively can't work to change this, I think is a day that's pretty sad. So I'm very proud of Missoula. I'm very proud of the people who showed up under difficult circumstances in this very hall, packed the joint, and talked for hours and hours and hours about what that ordinance meant to them one way or another, and ultimately the city council sided on the side, in my opinion, of what's right and just.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mr. Dean, your turn again. Can you name an area of Missoula city government that is considered bloated, that you consider bloated?
Considered bloated. I have not gone through on a department by department, head count by head count examination of what the requirements are of those departments and what their full-time equivalent staffing is. I believe looking at our budgets, we've been fairly steady. I think we had a little bit of attrition, and I think that was by design. I think that we should not be having layoffs, but I think we can be doing more with what we have. And I would like to see the city doing more with what they have.
I agree with Dean. I would like to see us live within our limits. I come from Depression-era parents, and it can be done. And submitting balanced budgets, but raising taxes at the same time every year is not living within our means. That's basically you're borrowing more money from us every year. If I could, and I don't know if I can by law, I would cut administrative staff by at least 15% right across the board, because I think there is a huge wage disparity. There are too many people. Until we've got a majority of Missoulians raised up to a living wage in this town, city officials should not be making the money that they're making. And we can live within our means. We need to tighten up and work it out.
Well, I'd like to thank my opponents here at the table for not taking the obvious joke about bloating. And for leaving that to me, frankly. You know, it's an interesting question. It's a challenging one. We can always get better. We can always improve. And when we need to cut, we have certainly proven that we are able to do that. Fundamentally, our responsibility here is to deliver service. And there is a myth that was long ago created by the federal government that suggested that you can fight wars on numerous fronts and lower taxes at the same time and expect to have a balanced budget. I'm not borrowing money from anybody when I tax, right? I'm asking people to invest in their community, right? And there is a value to every one of those tax dollars, and every one of those tax dollars is tied to a product or service, in effect, that we as citizens of Missoula enjoy. So depending on the day, I'll have folks talking to me about, if you want to fix transportation, it's going to cost money. If you want more parks, they're going to cost money. And when you build them, you need to maintain them. So far, in my experience as mayor, my experience as a council member, Missoulians have said again and again that they're willing to invest in their community, and that investment is manifest through those tax dollars. In some cases, they go so far as to vote to tax themselves. So when you look at our open space program, for example, our aquatics program, for example, the Mountain Line Mill levy that's approaching, if that's supported, those are folks taxing themselves. Those are folks saying, yeah, I want to make that investment. So I don't think we're bloated. I think we're delivering the services that folks expect us to deliver, and I think we're paying for them. And that's sort of the way the world works.
Well, there's a few ways to look at it. What I look at it is we don't own our water. We don't have an indoor greenhouse and farmer's market that runs 12 months a year in the Missoula Valley, which is the Garden City. So yeah, I think there's a lot of areas that we need to look at as far as our budget goes and what's prioritized. And until we get the basics locked down, I really don't feel like any city can move forward. As far as what areas I would cut first, personally, I think the Missoula Police Department is over budgeted and overstaffed. They run on $12 million a year. And I feel like we could address that and add some check and balances to the force. Right now, if you want to make a complaint on the police department, you have to go through the mayor. Maybe he'll work with you, maybe he won't. And then you got to go to video surveillance that they might have or might not have. And so I feel if we're spending $12 million a year, we need to make sure that the men and women that work for us, the people, have a check and balance, and that we have audio and video surveillance of those officers, because complaints do rise and people do get left behind. And so I feel until we have our water on lock, our food on lock, and our police department on lock, we really can't move forward. Thank you.
Okay, we are nearing our hour in this forum. I'm going to take the liberty to ask one more question of the candidates. And I'm going to ask the question, and I'm going to talk about a couple of things we're going to do here, and they can think about it and I'll ask the question. So the final question is, in 30 seconds, I want each one of you to name the two most positive things that you see about this place we call home. Okay? The two most positive things we call, or what we have to say about this place we call home. Okay, after this last question is answered, we'll take a short break. You can take a few minutes, meet the candidates, discuss one-on-one things with them for a few minutes, and then afterwards, the Central Committee will begin its own business meeting, monthly business meeting. And I want to thank everybody for attending tonight. I want to thank the candidates for good, forthright answers and staying within our timeline. I appreciate it very much. So, we'll begin with Ms. Cain. And so, what are the two most positive things you see about this place we call home?
Oh, come on, two?
Hey, I want you to do it in 30 seconds if you could.
We live in the place where people from all over the world come to vacation. We live in the most beautiful spot in the world. I live in the United States of Montana. I am so proud of Missoula. I love my town. It's beautiful, it has wonderful people, it's got a heart and a soul. Like, I'm so proud of us. We support transients. We're great.
Mr. Engen?
The place, the people.
Yeah. Pretty much.
Mr. Hyde?
I love Missoula. I'd have to say our community would be the top one, and all of our natural resources that surround us. It's our playground. I love Missoula. Thank you.
I don't think you can adequately answer that question in 30 seconds. I rode 4,000 miles from one coast to the other on a bicycle, and I talked to people everywhere I went, all day long. Stop, talk, stop, talk. One of the things that I found about Missoula, and Montana in general, is the people are really good-hearted. They're smart, they're hardworking, they're thoughtful, they're courteous. One of the things that's special about Missoula is our tolerance. You can have a guy who's got an Obama sticker, and you can have a guy with a Romney sticker, a Tea Party sticker, and they will be civil to each other, they will help each other, and I think that that is special and that is unique. I have not seen it in many places in the United States, and I thank you for your time.
Okay, on behalf of the Missoula County Central Committee, I want to thank you for your attendance, and I want to thank the candidates again.
Thank you.